Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great week. Hope all of you having a great summer. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, we got to talk about some college football. More importantly, we got to talk about the Auburn Tigers. What in the world is Hugh Freeze doing? If you're an Auburn fan, there is no way you can be feeling good about this. By the way, love this comment on the recent video. You know how we made the documentaries in the offseason? D's Clan Gaming said, start making your videos on what's going on with the top programs in the country. The season is right around the corner. Thanks, Bartholomew. Really? Bartholomew. How do we go from Matt Be Great to Bartholomew? I'm not going to go rant and tangent. You're not going to get me riled up. And I like how he said thanks in advance, like he's my boss and he's telling me to do something. I mean, what is this? You're not going to be telling me what type of videos we're making on this channel. But at the same time, I guess round one goes to D's Clan Gaming because we kind of are making a news video, so yeah, you got this one, all right? Let's just get that out the way. He won the battle, I give it to him, but I'm in for the long-term game. I'm trying to win the war. So for those of you that don't know what's been going on and transpiring the past couple weeks, I've been paying attention to it closely, although we haven't been making a lot of videos on it. Let me give you a long story short. Alabama has been flat out dominating the recruiting landscape. Shout out to Kalen DeBoer. He is doing a phenomenal job. You can't harp on it enough. I'm not here to talk about Alabama so much, but they kind of are involved in this, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second, a little foreshadowing. What we are here to discuss, there's many Twitter posts and articles I could show you, but I'll show you this one from Golf Digest. The Auburn football program is having recruiting issues that some are blaming on its coach for playing too much golf. I'm going to say that one more time. They are or it's not even a claim, it is somewhat reality. Hugh Freeze, instead of recruiting his butt off getting ready for the season, he's been golfing a ton. For those of you that don't know, your boy Matt has recently gotten into golf, and if you golf or you just got into it like myself, you can attest to this. It is one of the most addicting sports out there, and it's also one of the most mentally challenging sports out there. It is so, and I mean so, add 40 more so's to it, so difficult. I wouldn't say it's an athletic sport. I think my best definition of it is it's more of a mechanical sport, and like I said, mental game. When you're having troubles out there on the course, you got the chip and yips, you're slicing your driver, you got all these issues going on, you can't consult with a teammate, a head coach, and say, hey, what am I doing wrong here? It is just you on the course. You're by yourself. I say all that to say this. If you're an individual that seeks improvement in any and every aspect in your life, you're not just going to be playing for 4 hours a day. You're going to be practicing a ton too, and that's what Hugh Freeze has been doing. And I got to give him a ton of credit and respect. And the GIN app, if you're a golfer, you're going to know what that is. If you don't know what the GIN is, it's just, and how do I dumb this down for your casual person to understand? Here's my best explanation. The GIN is an app where golfers, they enter their scores, and you can look up any person out there, and you can see what they've been shooting. Well, people have taken notice that not only has Hugh Freeze been playing quite a bit, he's also been putting in some impressive scores. Recently, he shot a 78. That's outstanding. And when I say outstanding, let me clarify, because you're going to have some nerd, some golfer nerd go, well, technically, Matt, 78 is not that good. Listen up, buddy. I'm talking about for your casual golfer. Anything under 80, I classify you as good. I'm not here to argue with you on what's a good score or whatnot. We're just here to talk about how much Hugh Freeze has been playing because it's extremely relevant to our situation at hand. According to the GIN app, this is what Hugh Freeze is putting in. It could be more, but in June, he played 11 times, which means at bare minimum, he is spending around 4 to 5 hours at the golf course from playing the round, putting his shoes on, driving there, etc., etc. In May, he played 8 times. Why is this important? Why is it relevant? You may ask. A great question, my friend. I'll let you answer it. Because Auburn is currently stinking it up on the recruiting trail. They suck. And it goes back to something I've said on this channel for years and years and years. People don't care what you do when you're winning. If you're a head coach, a shady one like that, Urban Meyer, classic case and example. Shadiest guy, one of the shadiest guys out there. But he won games, so people overlooked all the antics and problems because people don't care as long as you win. Problems only start to come out, and people only start to point the finger when you start losing. Another good example is Aaron Rodgers. When he was with the Packers and they were winning all those games, nobody said he was a terrible teammate. Nobody said he was cocky, had this big ego, etc., etc. Well, now that he's been slightly getting exposed, not playing so well, now everyone's pointing the finger. You see what I'm saying? Now all these terrible headlines and news stories are coming out about Aaron Rodgers. Say it with me now. Winning solves everything. It does. It really does. The problem for Hugh Freeze is Auburn. They suck. Let's just call it for what it is. And people are quick to want to blame somebody. Whereas with Alabama, even though they had a disastrous season last year for their standard, Bama fans are like, it's fine. It's Kalen DeBoer's first year. As long as we're striving for improvement, we're not going to throw anybody to the fire, at least for now. But Auburn fans, and I know this because I talk to them every single day, they're all around where I live, they are sick and tired of being bad and being average. They want to compete with the big boys. They want to go, worst case scenario, 9-3, 10-2 every single year. And if you were an Auburn fan, what would give you comfort? What would give you some, or not even just comfort, but reassurance? Knowing that Hugh Freeze is working as hard as he physically and possibly can to turn Auburn into a not even national title contender, folks. We're just talking about a 12-team playoff contender, right? It's not even about taking that big leap. It's about taking steps in the right direction. Well, actually, and it's crazy to say this, Auburn, if you're just looking at it on paper, I'm going to show this to you. It's a cold hard fact. They're taking steps in the wrong direction. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it actually is. I stand by this. I claim to be it. Yes, I am a professional overreactor. But I do not think I'm overreacting to this. Y'all know your boy Matt loves his cold hard facts. Currently, as to when I'm speaking and making this video, Auburn, do you know where they rank in recruiting as a team? You're probably thinking, okay, worst case scenario. I know some of you know this answer, but if you don't know, they're slightly outside the top 25. Maybe they're only 38th. Maybe they're in the top 50s. But no, Auburn... Let me say this again. Auburn, a team in the SEC, in the middle of Alabama. Well, not exactly in the middle of Alabama, but you get the point. They're not even in the top 75. They're ranked 78th in recruiting. 78th. Not only is it embarrassing, it's pitiful. You want to know who's currently ranked ahead of Auburn in recruiting? Miami. Oh, wait a minute. You think I'm talking about the U? The Miami Hurricanes? No. I'm talking about Miami of Ohio. Yeah, that's an eye-opener, to say the least. Miami of Ohio is out recruiting the Auburn Tigers in the SEC. It gets even better, though. Tulane, the Fighting Green Wave, is ahead of Auburn. Oh, and then you got the big three, Fresno State, Colorado State, and Washington State. You got Sacramento State out recruiting you. They're 58th, and this is like the bottom of the barrel. North freaking Western. Didn't they win one game last year? Who in their right mind wants to go to Northwestern? I have no idea, but I can tell you this much. It looks like more people want to go Northwestern over Auburn. You can't even say they're the bottom of the barrel anymore because Vandy's not bad, but they're not really good. Anytime Vanderbilt's out recruiting you, that's a slap in the face. And I get it, Vanderbilt, they're somewhat on the rise. They're not that bad, but still. They're the nerds of the SEC. And I could go on and on and on and name off all these teams because there's over 75 teams ranked ahead of Auburn. But there's some of these teams you just look at and you go, how in the world are they recruiting better than the Auburn Tigers? And what has happened is people out there, fans in general, have been asking the same question. They're going, wait a minute. Why is Sacramento State and Vandy out recruiting us? And then they did some digging and research. All right, what is Hugh Freeze up to? Oh, wait a minute. He's playing golf every other day. Look, I get it. There's 24 hours in a day. I'm not saying you can't make time for that, but I can guarantee you this. Kalen DeBoer, who has been crushing it on the recruiting trail, is not golfing. I bet he hasn't even golfed more than once in the past 2 or 3 months. I think I've said this before on the channel. I can't remember. Oh, well, it really doesn't matter. Hugh Freeze, and this won't be the last time I say it, he's washed up. He is. He's not the same coach or recruiter he was at Ole Miss. And the only reason people kind of respect the guy and they cling on to some hope with him is because he did beat Nick Saban in Alabama in back-to-back years. That's it. Auburn fans can sit around and lie to themselves all they want, but you know it, I know it, every single one of you watching this video knows it. Hugh Freeze, he's on his way out. He's not going to be coaching college football, and he's most certainly not going to be coaching at Auburn for longer than, I'd say, 6 to 7 years. He's already gearing up for retirement. He's already golfing. No joke. Half of the month. Let me ask you another question. Do you think Nick Saban, even in his final days at Alabama, was golfing 15 out of 30 days in a singular month during the recruiting trail, the recruiting cycle? Heck to the no. And that is the difference with guys like Saban and Hugh Freeze. Freeze, he ain't going to admit this, he's okay with mediocrity. Saban wanted to dominate in every aspect of the game. And guess what? These young men you're leading, they take on the personality trait and the persona of the head coach. Even with Saban departing, Alabama is still viewed as a top-tier program. The fans respect them. The high school recruits respect them. Everybody in the media respects them. I know Tiger fans aren't going to want to hear this, but someone needs to tell it to you. Auburn's viewed as a laughingstock. They're a joke right now. Number one, and let's just get this out there, nobody fears Auburn. And I already know what some people are going to say. Well, Matt, now that Saban's gone, nobody fears Alabama. You can lie to yourself all you want. You don't want to play Alabama. If I don't care who you root for, you don't want to play Alabama, and you know it. If you were an Ohio State fan and I were to say, hey, would you rather play Auburn or Alabama? Who would you rather play? You're saying Auburn as soon as I ask the question. You're not even thinking about it. Now, some of you may be sitting here going, and this is a fairly decent argument, well, Matt, come on, man. You're comparing apples to oranges. It's not fair to compare Auburn and Alabama. And here would be my rebuttal. Here would be my question to you. Why not? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there's been this new thing implemented, I'm sure some of you have heard about it, called the NIL. And Auburn has just as much money as anybody else. And despite that, they can't recruit. Can you riddle that to me? It was funny because when Alabama was dominating recruiting for years and years and years, what was everybody saying? Oh, yeah, well, Alabama's cheating, man. They're paying the players. Well, now that it is legal, quote-unquote, to pay these players, although we know everyone's been paying them illegally for years, I digress, Auburn, they still can't keep up with Bama. Riddle me that. I'm only holding Auburn to a high standard in this video, comparing them to Alabama, because for years, I grew up in this state. I still currently reside here. Auburn fans think they should be on that same level as Alabama. They're in the SEC. But truth be told, Auburn will always be Alabama's little brother. This isn't disrespect. I'm not trying to be funny. It's just reality. We know this. Recruits are going to want to go to Alabama over Auburn more times than not. That's fine. But to make matters even worse, Auburn, nobody, the coaching staff, the boosters, don't even get me started on all of that because the boosters want one thing, the coaching staff and Hugh want another. They don't know what they're doing. You're in a very dangerous position in college football and in life when you have no direction. Kalen DeBoer may fall flat on his face. That is a legit possibility, but at least you know where Alabama's trying to go, right? Well, at Auburn, I have no idea what they're trying to accomplish or what their main goal is. I think we can all agree on this. Freeze is a good coach. I wouldn't even throw him in that really good category. And he is most certainly not a great coach. We'll call him good at best. Well, here's your big dilemma with that. If you're just good, you're not going to be able to take the 78th best recruiting class to more than, 7 wins max in the SEC. I don't even know if Nick Saban could do that. At the end of the day, I don't care how good of a coach you are, you got to have dudes on your team. And Auburn does not have dudes on their team currently, and it doesn't look like they have any coming in. So what is going on in the Plains? Well, nothing's going on. They're staying stagnant, and if you got to ask me, that is the worst position to be in. The greatest example I can give you is Mark Richt and the Georgia Bulldogs. For years, Richt did just good enough to not get fired, but he could never get over the hump. He could never beat Alabama, but every single year you couldn't justify firing him because he was winning 10 and 11 games. That's a terrible place to be in if you got to ask me. As a fan, it's championship or bust. I either want to go 14-1, whatever it now is, 16-0, 15-1, something like that, win the national championship or at least compete for a national championship, or I want to lose every single game. The worst position to be in is going 8-4, 7-5, maybe a sprinkle in a 9-3, 10-2 season, 5-7, stuff like that. And that's what Auburn has done the past few years, and it's what they're going to continue to do. You can debate a brick wall. Auburn is going to go somewhere in that range of 4-8, worst case scenario, hopefully, 5-7, 6-6, 7-5, 8-4. They're not sniffing 9 or 10 wins. It's not going to happen, and they're most certainly not sniffing the playoff. A lot of people don't understand this, and I know we got some diehard Auburn fans on the channel. If you don't have dudes, I'm going to beat this into y'all's heads. If you don't have dudes, it's not just like, oh, you're not going to win. No, you're not even going to compete in the SEC. It's different. Alabama played awful against Auburn last year, and that entire year Alabama was bunzos compared to their normal Alabama standard, and you couldn't even compete with Bama in the Iron Bowl. Let's be serious. I'm not an Auburn fan, but if I were, I would be embarrassed. To me, what has been going on with this program and with Hugh golfing all the time, having one of the worst recruiting classes I've seen in the SEC, it's embarrassing. It's the perfect word to describe it. Here's my thing, right? And this is the last thing I'm going to say before we end out this video. If Ohio State and Ryan Day had the 78th best recruiting class, I wouldn't even care. Wouldn't even be making this video. Why? Because I already know on their current roster and team for the next couple of years, they got 4- and 5-star recruits ready to go. The problem is Auburn doesn't have that compound interest built up. You see what I'm saying? They currently do not have good players on the team, and in the future, they do not have good players coming in. That is a recipe for disaster. I can go on and on about this. Many more things I could say. We'll end the video up here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But